I'd like to have your assessment about the recent APEC and G20 summit that concluded. What is your assessment? What is your feel about where things going?
I mean, it's a real sharp contrast to how U.S. played its role in the APEC meeting and G20 versus China. Because when Xi Jinping arrived in Lima, Peru for APEC meeting, he announced the completion of the 3.5 billion megaports, the Chancay Mega Ports, China just completed for Peru. And the next day, Tony Blinken, in order not to be outdone, he came out with an announcement that United States is helping city of Lima building a passenger rail line, right? And sounds very good. Well, it's like, wow, U.S. is actually doing something. And so when people start digging around what Tony Blinken is actually talking about, he's talking about the Caltrain in California that's retiring its older diesel engine cars because the Caltrain's finally getting electrified. So they have these old, obsolete diesel engine cars. They're selling. They're not giving them away. They're selling them to Lima, Peru for $6.3 million. So that's what they mean by helping city of Lima building a passenger line. The United States is not helping them building a rail line. They're selling them some old diesel engines, and they try to pass it off as like, oh, look what we have done for Peru. Forget about the Chinese megaports, only a few $1 billion. We have these nice diesel engine car for sale. It's ridiculous. It's just a ridiculous comparison. And the port that China built in Peru will fundamentally change how the commerce will be conducted throughout South America, because it's not only a port for Peru, it's going to be a port for all of South America. About 40 to 60% of the traffic is going to be coming from outside of Peru. It's going to come from Brazil, come from Bolivia, Chile, all the surrounding countries. And the Northeast Brazil, where there's a lot of agricultural produce that gets exported to China, traditionally they will have to go through Panama Canal, which is congested. Often they have to wait. And then after they get through Panama Canal, sometimes they have to go to the mega ports in big ports in Mexico or Los Angeles, where they get loaded on super containers, then to China. Now they can just ship across the Amazon. There's already a transoceanic highway linking Brazil and the port in Peru. So all these trucks can haul the containers across the Andes, loaded onto ships in the megaport. So one of the things this megaport is it can handle the world's largest container ships. It's not just a port, because some ports they cannot handle larger ships. This port can handle world's largest container ship. Those ships can't even go pass through Panama Canal. And the reason traditionally the agricultural produce from Northeast Brazil, after they go through Panama Canal, they have to go to the port of Los Angeles to get reloaded, is because some of the biggest ships cannot pass through Panama Canal. So now all this agricultural product in Brazil, they can completely bypass Panama Canal. They'll just get on trucks, get loaded, dropped off in the port in Peru, load and go directly to Shanghai. It will shave off the traffic for 15 days. That's 2 weeks. They can shave 2 weeks off the transit time, which is huge, especially for agricultural products. And there's a lot of agricultural product that Brazil is exporting to China. And this is not the end, because currently the transoceanic highway that crosses the Andes still have limitations. Some of the bigger trucks cannot go. So China is in talk with Brazil, Peru, etc. They're going to build a transoceanic railway that connects Northeast Brazil, Southeast Brazil, all funnel through the Andes to the port. And China has a lot of experience building rail, especially punching holes through mountains. China built a high-speed rail in Tibet. So they will be able to provide the expertise and the capital to connect the whole region, and it's such a big deal that it has, of course, have U.S. Politicians worried. The Trump advisor is saying now they're not only just going to slap tariffs on Chinese goods, they're going to slap tariffs on any goods that come out of the Chancay Port in Peru, which is completely ridiculous. I mean, like, but that's kind of the U.S. mentality, zero sum mentality. The port. They always say, "Oh, China is trying to control South America through the port." But look, it's a port on the ocean. It's not just the Chinese ships that will come in. Anybody can come in to use the port. The whole point is increasing global connectivity, and U.S. has nothing to compete with that. Like the Caltran engine. That's a joke compared to this. Of course, you have Biden's usual performance, wandering after giving his speech, wandering off in the Amazonian jungle, providing the comedy hour. That's like Xi Jinping came to Peru. Xi Jinping go to Brazil. He gets the highest honor. Whereas Biden, during the G20 group family photos, Biden was late, so they just took the photo without Biden. You have all these yelling on the side, like, what? You have to wait for Biden? Now can you take pictures? No, well, let's just take pictures.
Move on. Move on. Yeah. Exactly. Well, I did during that time of when President Xi Jinping inaugurated the port. There were comments coming out of Washington, and I remember one specific one, and I'm paraphrasing here, stating the likes of U.S.'s concern about China's influence in the U.S. backyard. And I was like, hold on a second. What the heck are you guys saying? What backyard are you talking about? That's Latin America. Those are sovereign states. But right there also became clear to me that the mindset in Washington still operates on the Monroe Doctrine, that it never left. And I kind of like the world has changed.
And the physical distance between Chancay Port, which China built, to United States is 6,000 kilometers. I mean, that's what kind of backyard is that? 6,000 kilometers away.
Yeah, it didn't make sense when I heard that, and right there it became clear to me they are really not understanding. Whomever those issuing those policies or those statements, they don't have a grasp of the need for the economic developments, and I think that's why Peru wants. As a matter of fact, Carl, and correct me if I'm wrong in my assessment. With this outcome, with what you just stated, do you believe that's why Argentina wanted now to go back to China? Is this why?
So Javier Milei, the Argentinian president, before he came to the presidency, he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to deal with those commie bastards in China. I want to have nothing to do with them." But recently, but then China came through with a currency swap that saved Argentina from bankruptcy. And recently, Javier Milei had an interview with The Economist, and the Economist journalist asked him, let me tell me about your relationship with China. He said, "It's great. These guys, they didn't ask any questions. They didn't, they're happy to do investment, and they're not even asking anything in return. It's great. It's awesome." And then the journalist like, "Wait, didn't you say something about China, the government of China, before you became president?" And he said, "Oh, okay, it's trade. Trade is exchange between people. It has nothing to do with government." And he was backtracking furiously. Basically, That's how China does business with anybody. China's business is business. They came here to trade. They don't come here
Yeah.
to interfere your domestic politics. They don't care about your domestic politics. They could care less whether the Javier Milei wants to any kind of cuts internally, whatever.
Yeah.
China don't care. China just want, okay, we know Argentina had a lot of agricultural commodities. We want to buy those agricultural commodities, and we're willing to give you top dollars for it. That's it. It's very simple. This is why, like, Javier Milei was surprised. I mean, he's the president.
Yeah.
It tells you what kind of homework he did. But he was surprised. Like, China just literally came in, no string attached, provided the investment, provided the currency swap, and saved Argentina's ass, essentially. So this is why
Yeah.
China's business model has a lot of appeal across the global South, and this is why United States and Western country find increasingly difficult to compete with that, because usually the IMF and World Bank will place very stringent requirement. They usually require to privatize, to cut your public funding,
Yeah.
cut your education, cut your healthcare, and cut pensions. China's investment come with no strings attached. So this is why they complain about Belt and Road Initiative all the time. They think this is a nefarious Chinese plot to take over, but really it's because United States find increasingly difficult to compete.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the IMF, and Argentina is the example, I remember when they got the loan back in the 80s, that loan has not been paid yet. And Argentinians were like furious because it impacted their livelihood. And we're also, what happened of that? So you're absolutely correct.